everyone, and welcome to the Amazon Worker Management Breakout session. To get us started today, I'm going to introduce a gentleman named Jitesh here at Avetta, who leads our worker management product, and he'll give us a brief kickoff before we delve into the ins and outs of the worker management tool and how Amazon will be using this moving forward. Jitesh, over to you.
Thanks, Sarah. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jitesh Chinchani, and I'm with Avetta, as Sarah pointed out. I have responsibility for our worker management product, which is the main topic that we're going to discuss during this session. So on behalf of the Avetta team, I wanted to extend a very warm welcome to everybody. We're really thrilled to have you in this session. During this session, my colleagues Sarah, Jing, and Carrie and I will share information about the product. But more importantly, we'd love to hear from you, feedback on the product, but also hear about any challenges or issues that you have with your current efforts to kind of manage worker level compliance. I should mention that our worker management product is currently deployed to thousands of suppliers and more than 100,000 workers on a global scale. And we're very thrilled to now welcome the Amazon supplier base into our community. Worker management is all about enabling you guys, the suppliers, to ensure that your workers are adequately trained and fully equipped to work both safely and efficiently and in conformance to the best practice guidelines defined by Amazon. As such, we're collaborating very closely with the Amazon team to ensure that the rollout of the solution to the entire supplier ecosystem is very, very successful. And my hope is that this is the first of many conversations that we'll have with you as we partner up, not only to deliver our current capabilities, but also work on various roadmap initiatives that align with your priorities as Amazon suppliers. So apart from this forum, we'd love to continue the engagement with additional discussions down the road where we can do a deeper dive into various topics. So really looking forward to that. So with that, let me hand it over back to Sarah, and I look forward to a fantastic session, and thank you and welcome again. Sarah?
Excellent. Thank you, Jitesh. And as mentioned, my name is Sarah Blevins. I'm a senior solution engineer here at Avetta. We'll be walking you through a couple of slides on worker management to give you some context for what this tool is, and then walking through the platform itself, both the client as well as the view that you will see as the supplier. If you do have any comments, questions, feel free to send that through the Twitch chat features, and then that way we can field those at the end of the presentation. So to get us started, let's talk a little bit about what worker management is. You all are familiar with the Avetta solution and the process that Amazon is using to qualify your information at the company level. So should be familiar with them asking for things like safety documentation, questionnaires, things of that sort. But what the next step that we see here is getting down to the individual worker level. So being able to manage different trainings and pre-qualification requirements for each employee coming on site. We use the worker management platform to host and collect all of that information, ultimately providing both you as well as Amazon clear insight into all your training qualifications and who's compliant and ready to come work at an Amazon facility. So for you as the supplier, what this tool is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to see the list of requirements that Amazon is looking for based on the role that you're performing as well as the site location that you're working on. You'll actually be able to see that list of training requirements and complete them within the account. So whether that's an online training module, taking a site induction, or whether that's some type of documentation that they're asking for you to upload, you can complete all of those requirements prior to arriving on site. The system does track expiration and renewals as well, so it'll be tied to an automated notification system, which means you no longer need to track and manage when you need to take Amazon requirements again or when a new document needs to be uploaded. A notification system will allow you to know when those documents are coming up for renewal, and you'll be able to take action appropriately. To talk a little bit about the types of requirements that we can collect in the worker management platform. First and foremost, you see there on the top left, training courses and exams. So this is a great area. Amazon will be using this particular feature to host their induction trainings. So being able to provide that site criteria on emergency response procedures, general work rules, etc. You're likely used to seeing a video as you arrive on site, but again, we'll be able to host that information so that you can take it prior to arriving on site and execute any exams that show you understand the material that was presented. The next type of requirement that we can collect in worker management is supporting documentation. So licenses, certifications, perhaps if they need a copy of a driver's license, anything of that sort. So physical documentation or a copy of documentation that would evidence that a particular requirement is met. We can accommodate training records. So if you simply want a place to store your training and again, kick in that automated notification system to be aware of any retraining that's necessary. We can accommodate acknowledgements on an individual level. So if there are company policies, things of that sort that need to be signed off on, we can do that through the platform. And then last but not least, it'll be able to track time and attendance spent on Amazon facilities. Now, all of these requirements roll into an overall compliance status, much like you're familiar with seeing on the Avetta Connect platform. And that compliance status will determine how the badging and integration will work. So each supplier will get a copy of a badge. You can see there on the right-hand side with our example Chet Barnes. It has a QR code that allows folks to scan and check the requirements and ensure that you as the supplier employee are fully compliant as you arrive on site. So how this process works, the first step is we'll work with Amazon, again, hand in hand to determine exactly what qualifications and training requirements they need. And again, these are configured based on two different triggers. So based on the role that you're performing, obviously we'll ask for different documentation from a welder than say a driver, as well as the location that you're performing those tasks, because site orientations may differ from location to location. Once we configure all those rules in the back end, we'll notify you as the supplier of the Amazon worker management requirement. At that point, you'll create a worker management login for each employee going onto an Amazon facility. What that's going to do is that it's going to allow your employees to get into the system and again, take all those trainings and pre-qualification requirements prior to arriving on site. So we assign you the appropriate roles and sites, you get in the system and you'll complete the required information, and then Amazon will be able to check your compliance as well as monitor any retraining dates that come up. I'm going to take a moment and pass it over to Justin Smith from Amazon, and he's going to speak to why Amazon has chosen to roll out a program like worker management and the value that they intend to realize from this product.
Thank you, Sarah. Everybody, thank you. Amazon is on track to implement the worker management platform because it provides both Amazon and our 3P partners so many benefits that allow us to reduce the amount of risk that just the nature of our work brings into a workplace, but also it'll help us eliminate waste in our contractor safety management process. Sarah kind of mentioned it, the way Avetta is set up now and the way we utilize it today, it gives us an overview or a snapshot of the company as a whole, right? It tells us about the company's policies, procedures, their safety performance at a given point in time. But worker management allows us to get to another level of visibility with our 3P partners. Not only do we see at a company level what policies and procedures are in place, but with worker management, we're able to see how those policies and procedures are applied in the field, right? So if you have a lockout program or a fall protection program, we're able to see that policy in motion and active in that individual's training records, or if they have any kind of specialized licenses or anything like that, we'll be able to have that kind of visibility. With that, we're able to create a safer work site because we're reducing risk, because now we know that that individual showing up on site is actually equipped with the skills and knowledge to execute those high-risk tasks that they're called in to provide. So many times you may come onto a site, and depending on what site it is, because it can vary sometimes, I've seen it before, but depending on what site you come on, they may say, hey, you're going to be working in a confined space. Show me your confined space training. and you're like, oh no, I didn't bring that documentation with me, or I need to call back to the office. Now you won't have to do that because the worker management portal will be able to hold that kind of data for us. So not only are you going to save time with the kind of running around and paper shuffling, but you'll also save time because at each site we'll already have a standardized criteria by which you need to comply with, because we'll outline it as requirements in worker management. So you shouldn't be caught off guard with some kind of weird document request. On the supplier side, on your side of the 3P fence, I call that the 3P side of the fence, there are many benefits for you as well. So streamlined training, right? We have the opportunity to ensure that, right now we're using another system to deliver our contractor orientation, which is actually an improvement from what we were doing in the past. In the past, we've done PowerPoints at the front door. We've done videos. You're sitting in conference rooms, and imagine how much time that takes, right? When you're there to do a service call. But now you can access that training on virtually on the web, and we have that functionality now, but we'll be moving it into a more consolidated and streamlined system. And that way you have all your training requirements in one place. Additionally, no duplication. Again, I mentioned, depending on what site you go to or what site team you have, we do have the same minimum safety requirements, but you do have some sites that may act above and beyond what the minimums are, and they're very empowered to do so. And I encourage it every day. So if they see an individual who's gonna be using a scissor lift, but this person looks like they don't know exactly what they're doing, we can go back and say, hey, show me this guy's license. But now, instead of you having to produce that every single time, you'll have it right there available, and everybody will have the same visibility to it. And then again, I think one big piece of that is that clear client standards, right? Because we do have variability across our sites, it's just the nature of the business. It's huge. We have a huge workforce in varying levels of skill sets at these different sites, that now in worker management, we can outline, these are the criteria you need to meet. And so therefore, if you're going to different sites, it's going to be the same. And that way you're not caught off guard and blindsided by any additional requests for information. And what that also does in the grand scheme of things, I look at it from a safety standpoint, but also from a reduce of waste in time, is that it gives you the more time when you show up on site to do safe job planning, to ensure that you're looking at the steps related to the work that you're there to do, the hazards associated with it, and the mitigation processes you're going to put in place. Gives you more time to collaborate with your site POCs and more time to actually work versus a bunch of administrative tasks that you have to take care of for the first 30 minutes while you're on site. So I see a lot of benefits on both sides, and I'm very excited to see us implement this tool. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Sarah for a demo.
Excellent. Thank you, Justin. And as mentioned, we're going to hop into the demonstration now. We'll go off video just because of bandwidth issues, but we should all still be able to see the screen. So the first thing that we're going to take a look at here is how we can view from Amazon's perspective all the different qualifications that you would be submitting in the account. So this is a quick snapshot of what their dashboard would look like. They'll be able to see a list of all their contractors that are submitting information in the system, how many employees are tied to each, and then the status of those employees as well. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see sites as well as roles. And again, that's a critical feature because those are the two different ways that we would trigger workflows for you all. So the different requirements that you'll need to complete in the system. We'll go ahead and take a look at a supplier profile. Again, really the point here is to understand what information Amazon will be able to access. So we'll take a look at one of our workers, Jack Masterson, as our example. So as you get access to your worker management profile, you'll be prompted to complete some basic contact information as well as upload a photo. And what that photo serves to do is it serves to grant you access to the badge capabilities. So at that point, you would have an Avetta badge with that QR code that was demonstrated earlier. Below, you can see a list of all the different sites that that particular employee is working at, as well as the different roles that this individual is performing. So it looks like in this case, we have a powered industrial truck operator. If we click that plus icon, we can now see a list of all the different trainings that had to be completed, as well as any renewal dates here on the right-hand side. So this is the method by which Amazon will now be checking for compliance against these individual level metrics. As mentioned, you do have badging capabilities, so this is great for you all to be able to bring with you. You can either screenshot it or you can even print it out and bring it with you on site. The majority of the time we want to spend here looking at the supplier view, so the view that you all will actually be looking through as you get into the worker platform. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the supplier administrator and cover the responsibilities that that particular individual will be required for. So we're going to take a quick look over here on the left-hand side. We're going to log in as one of our administrators for this particular supplier, so Adam D. Army. And that's going to pull up the administrator's view. So when you use your login information and pop into the worker platform as an admin, this is what you would see. Primary focus of the supplier admins is to ensure that all employees working on an Amazon facility are in the system and are assigned to the appropriate roles and site locations. So to do that, all you have to do as the supplier administrator is to come into accounts and we can manage workers. There are going to be a few different ways that we can input workers into the system. So the simplest one is the one-by-one option. So you can create a new worker. We'll take Jack Masterson as our example. But you can create a new worker. You simply go in as the administrator. You can fill out some basic details about this particular employee. If you have contact information and want to proactively supply that detail, you can add contact information. And then, of course, the two most important features here is assigning the correct role and assigning the correct site to that particular individual. Again, that is going to serve to pull the appropriate training requirements for each of the employees that you are housing in the worker management platform. Now, we understand that many of you may manage dozens of employees who are going on site for Amazon. So rather than having you add those individuals one by one, there is a way that you can import these workers into the system as well. So what this option is going to give you the ability to do is it's going to give you a quick import spreadsheet. You can see an example of what that looks like here. You would be able to go through and create the login details as well as name and title information for each of the employees that you want to get uploaded into the system and create login access for. And then you simply upload the file and all of that login information is generated for you. The last option that we'll look at to get employees into the system is the registration link option. So you all would have the ability to send a quick registration link. You can either generate an invite directly through the worker management platform, or you can copy and paste this link into an email, send it to the appropriate individuals who need to self-register for an account. And at that point, they'd be able to click on the link, get their own account set up, and again, start completing those requirements for Amazon. Only other feature that we'll mention here on the supplier admin view is that if Amazon determines they would like an approval process whereby you would approve documents submitted by your employees, you may see items come through your task list. So in this case, if I click on my task list, I can see that there is one document awaiting review. It looks like it's a gentleman named Edwin Majors. We can review that selected document. And that's where I'll be able to see the details of that requirement. So what are the instructions from Amazon? What is the contractor actually submitted? I can see a copy of the document that was uploaded as well. And then I can enter any notes and approve this document if it is in fact what Amazon is looking for. If it is a different document, I think the supplier employee needs to go back and perhaps upload something else, change a score, change a completion date, anything of that sort. I can add my notes back to that employee and reject the document, at which point it would go back to the supplier employee to make the appropriate edits. The last view that we're going to take a quick look at is the individual supplier employee. So this is where most of you will likely fall, and the view that you all will see as you log in to review your requirements for Amazon. So again, we're going to take a look at Contractor C. We are going to log into one of our individuals, Freddie Lincoln, who's got some outstanding requirements to complete. And again, this is the view that you all would see as you log in to complete those outstanding requirements or tasks for Amazon. So here I'm logged in as Freddie. The first thing that I see is my requirements to-do list. This represents all outstanding tasks, whether it be document upload, whether it be orientation trainings, whether it be acknowledgements, that I would need to complete in order to be compliant for all of my clients. If I know I'm working on a specific facility, so maybe I know I'm going on the North America Sort Centers and I'm doing a specific type of work, I can also filter down to see just the requirements that I need to complete before I go on site for my job tomorrow. Now we'll jump into a couple of these requirements just to show you how quick and easy it is to complete them in the system. But first, I wanted to mention the My Status widget that you see here at the bottom. So again, part of the benefit of the worker management solution is that you have that clear communication on client standards. And this very quickly details that this contractor, if he were to arrive on site, would not be qualified to go to work for these outstanding items, which match the tasks in my task list. So you should be able to log into your worker management account and check for yourself if you'll be able to get on site without an issue as you arrive on an Amazon facility. Now, as mentioned, we'll use our task list here to delve into some of the specific requirements. The first one that we'll touch on is just a simple document upload. Oops, sorry about that. Is a quick document upload, so we'll take a look at that pit operator certification. So you can see here by clicking into that requirement, it provides me with a description of the requirement, some instructions for exactly what Amazon is looking for, and then from there, it's a simple matter of uploading the correct file, selecting an expiration date, entering any notes that I think are applicable, and then either uploading the document or sending it for review, just depending on how Amazon configures that approval process. Very simple, very easy to upload that supporting documentation. The second feature you may be asked to complete for Amazon is the OnSite Induction module. So here we've built an example Amazon contractor orientation. Again, by clicking into the requirement, we can see a detailed description, we can see instructions, and then I'm able to run this course. Now, when I run the course, it's going to pull up a separate window that will allow me to go through the different modules that Amazon has provided. If there are any types of quiz questions, anything of that sort, they will pop up throughout. And then once you've completed the training, you'll simply close the window and it will log the credit for that training completion within the worker management platform. That's everything that we had to show in terms of the demonstration. We're going to flip back over here and talk about just a few expectations from Amazon's perspective and a timeline on when you can expect to see some worker management requirements. So I think there are some key expectations for suppliers as Amazon rolls out the worker management solution. First and foremost, any employee working on an Amazon facility will need to be managed through the worker management platform, as this is how we will start managing that pre-qualification information and monitor site access. All the training should be completed prior to arriving on site. You can expect, based on our preliminary conversations, a combination of online training modules, as well as some of those role-specific document uploads. And then just a caveat, as this program develops and as the worker management program progresses, you may see additional requirements come out in the future. Of course, those would be communicated to you with step-by-step instructions. As far as the timeline when you can expect to see communications around the worker management product, we're expecting a limited pilot in Q4 of 2020. Those that will be involved in that pilot have already been reached out to, so you should be aware if you're involved in that pilot process. And then we expect a full rollout in Q1 of 2021. So for the rest of you not involved in the pilot, that's when you can start to expect to see those communications come across. With that, I'll pass it back to Jitesh for some closing remarks, and then we'll handle a few questions as well.
Thanks, Sarah. So that was a fantastic session. I know we've had a lot of questions come in through the chat, so I'll keep this short. Thank you very much for attending this session. And as I said earlier on, we're hopeful that this is the first of many, many conversations and engagements that we have with the Amazon supplier community. So we really look forward to working with you as we jointly roll this solution out. So without further ado, I'll hand it back to Sarah and Jing and Carrie so we can take some questions.
Thanks, Jitesh. Sarah, we've got some questions that Jing has responded to in the chat, but I think they would be beneficial to review as a group. So one question from CS575 is, I have 3 different Amazon accounts on Avetta. Will the training go to all 3, or will we have to complete different training for each site? And so CS575, if the same training applies to the 3 sites, then you'll only have to complete the training once. The sites may have different training required, and so then you would have to complete different requirements. I noticed you said you have 3 different Amazon accounts, so I would say reach out to supplier support and make sure that, if possible, we can merge those so that you don't have to take training on separate accounts. Hope that helps. Let's see. Another question is, if all of our techs are OSHA 30 certified, is there somewhere that we can upload these on Avetta? And yes, there is. As long as that is a requirement for the site or role that your technicians are working in, then there will absolutely be a place for you to upload that documentation. And let's see, what else? Will worker management apply to suppliers who are already permanently assigned to work at an Amazon site? So that is under discussion. Most worker management will apply to most suppliers, I believe.
Justin, do you have any feedback on that question?
I didn't catch the last part of it. My audio was going in and out. Can you give me that last part of that question again?
Sure. Will worker management apply to suppliers who are already permanently assigned to work at an Amazon site?
Likely. I don't have a clear answer yet because we're still going through the configuration phase of this, but likely, because it's still a third party, although that you have a different level of access to the building. And it depends, and it also depends on what the relationship is. Like, we have some third parties that are a part of our RME group who are permanently in the buildings, and they also utilize our training systems and things like that. So we have visibility of those trainings. But we also have vendors such as like maintenance vendors who are there daily, but we don't have that same interaction. So worker management will come into play there, so we can still have the same level of visibility. So it would depend on the nature of the relationship. I can't tell you every nuanced relationship and how it would interact with workers management at that point, but those are the 2 that come to mind, those 2 different kind of relationships that come to mind, and how worker management would engage in those situations.
Great, thanks, Justin. And it looks like we're out of time, so I'm going to pass back to Sarah to wrap up.
Excellent. Thank you, team. And love the questions. Appreciate everyone's participation today. If you do have additional questions, we definitely encourage you to reach out to your Avetta support team. We'll be happy to get those addressed and set the correct expectations for what you can expect to see in early 2021. We appreciate everyone's time today and hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much.